Yes, next team will come from the far west of the continent, so we'll review Vancouver Canucks chances for this upcoming season. And last season was quite surprising for Vancouver because they were not one that many predicted to reach the playoffs, but at the end they were playing over there in the playoffs, and maybe one of the biggest surprises of the season was their performance. Tommy, will they continue to improve the same leaps that they were doing last season, or how do you see their chances for this season?
Yeah, I think Canucks is a very good example of a team that's done the rebuild the right way. So they've been little by little getting better. And then last season, of course, they had a lot of breakthrough players. The young guys took a massive step forward. And they did really well in the playoffs, the quite surprising playoffs, but still. So we're looking for more of the same, even a little bit better maybe this time around. What's remarkable here that we see the odds for the team to win the division, the Canadian one, are at 500, but the odds to win the Stanley Cup are at 3,300. So they might do well in the the Canadian division, but they're not seen as a big favorites to win the Stanley Cup. So I think this just plays into that. The Canadian division is expected to be really even with these mini playoffs going on all the time. So we'll see how the young team of Vancouver will do. How about our simulations, how we've been doing with the Canucks in the past seasons?
Canucks is an interesting team because there has been a lot expected value in their games. So if we usually think that maybe half of the games, maybe even less in many cases when we think about favorites, or have some expected value to bet in individual games. So in Vancouver home games, 66% of the games have had expected value to bet for Vancouver, and away the percentage is almost 75%. So every third out of four games, Vancouver has had expected value for their wins. And this big sample for the last three seasons have generated profit for the bettors who have followed simulations probabilities. So almost $600 profit by betting Vancouver when there's expected value either home or away games. And also simulations have been quite accurate in total numbers. So if you would bet totals based on our simulations, you would end up $1,230 profit during these three seasons. Generally, they are more maybe home team, but like you said, now the division is different, so they are not playing in Southern California anymore and taking sun there, but they are going to Winnipeg and Calgary and face the northern winds in the prairie, and that might be even harsher for them than 40% away win percentage that they have reached in Western Division or matchups with the Western teams. But is there something in new division that is good matchup for them, because they are young and fast, maybe a bit more skilled team that, for example, earlier they were facing Kings and Vegas, who have a bit different style of playing?
Yeah, I think it will be very interesting for the young Canucks team to go to play, the similar sort of setup with a team like Toronto, Ottawa, maybe even Montreal. Although they've gotten a little bit more grittier this time around, Vancouver is by no means a soft team. They're really good two-way. They play well defensively and all that, but it's still quite a young and inexperienced in that way team. So it might be a tough one to go to Winnipeg and go to Calgary and those kind of places if you compare it to Anaheim and Los Angeles, for example. Their Canucks team don't really have any weaknesses to name any, so I think they're going to be good and challenging for all the teams in the Canadian League. Were there any of these teams that had a particular history with the Canucks?
Yeah, there's one, and while they have been playing quite evenly with all the other Canadian teams, they faced Winnipeg 8 times during the last three seasons, and they haven't been able to win a single game. So either home or away, Winnipeg have been too much for them, and maybe the bit physical brand of hockey that Winnipeg, at least earlier season, played with then a few very skillful goal scorers have been too much in Vancouver and for Vancouver in the past. But it would be interesting to see if they can now break this curse in Winnipeg, and against them that they could maybe win at least one game out of these many games that they faced them during this season. How about this building of the team that you mentioned, that they have been quite structured and quite, at least last season, successful for the build-up. There's no any extremely expensive players, but how about newcomers? Is there some new players who will make big difference in next season?
They of course made a play for Nate Smith from Vegas, so it's one big newcomer to the defense. They had to let go Chris Tanev though for that, so it's quite balanced. Also in the goal, Jakob Markström played really well last season, but he was changed to Braden Holtby, a Stanley Cup winner from the Capitals. So I think that's also adding up quite well with Thatcher Demko playing the second keeper role there. Their defense is a little bit more hard-nosed, more experienced than the offense. There are the guys like Tyler Myers, Alex Edler still, and they're not like bone crushers in any way, but they're a bit more playoff style defense. But what adds to that is, like I was saying before, that the offense, despite being really skillful with Elias Pettersson, of course, leading the line and proper superstar in the making, there are these hard-nosed guys like Brandon Sutter who can also play two-way game, and it's making a very balanced offense in both ways. So it's a difficult team to play against, and it depends a bit how Vancouver is gonna approach these games against the fellow Canadian teams. If they're gonna go with a sort of more attacking version, or are they gonna be this sort of gritty playoff style team? Something that they showed that they can do in the last season's playoffs. But it's something that we have to wait and see. But it's very interesting to follow this team. How about the season predictions? How have we been doing with the Canucks in the past couple of seasons?
Last season, like we have now mentioned multiple times, was very good for them. We predicted them to go under 86.5 points, and even though they end up under, but they had 13 games to go, and maybe at the end they would go out over. Difficult to say, but 2 years ago we predicted them to go over, and over they went, even though they were not as good as last season. And 3 years ago we predicted them to go over, and that was exactly 73 points. That was line that they got at the end, so that was a push from the season future bet point of view. So generally we have been reasonably accurate, and I think the last season good results and last season's points that we will then include our season simulations hopefully will boost them a little bit and show that they are going the right direction. Or how it looks like, are they far away from the bottom of the division, as we went through already Ottawa and Montreal, but there are still a handful of teams to come.
Actually, it's funny mentioned Winnipeg Jets here because they are just a hair above actually. So it's something that they need to winning in Winnipeg to the playoffs or even in the contest. But it does look good in Vancouver, and like I said, if I need to place a bet, I need to go with the Canucks. I like them a bit more than they are predicted to miss the playoffs though. But I might be the one jumping into the bandwagon here before the season. Of course, let's wait for the actual lines for the points to show up. I think they will be doing it, but that's my opinion, not the simulation.
Yeah. Anything else that you would like to bet for the Stanley Cup or for the division? Maybe the division would be interesting as the odds are not so high there, but is there any value then left?
I think the Stanley Cup winning there might be just a bit of because like the division odds were at around 500, and the Stanley Cup odds are comparatively higher as well at 3,300. So if let Canucks win the division, they are much more likely to win the Stanley Cup as well. But it's maybe something house and votes, but maybe a nickel or so.
Let's see when the win total lines are coming, if there's any value then. But I think I would at least save my money to the other teams. We'll continue from here tomorrow.